Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Episode here on a continuing series, Sega Racing Renaissance, where we review every single mainline 3D arcade racing game Sega ever released in a retrospective fashion, and today we have King of Route 66. Interestingly enough, this game takes place at the beginning in Chicago, and I live about 5 miles from the start of Route 66, so it's got a special place in my heart, because if I became a trucker, I guess I could start exactly where this game puts us. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But King of Route 66 is just an absolute wild blast of a game, and I do enjoy it more than 18-Wheeler, the original game on NAOMI and Dreamcast, just because this pushes the arcade racing aspect up to 11 because we get all of these turbo barrels right off the top. But I just love this series. It is wacky, it's classic Sega through and through, but it is a racing game because you're not just racing against the timer, you have an opponent in the game that you need to beat to your depot to get the bonus. And that is the delineating factor if it's a racing game or not. Crazy Taxi isn't to me because you're racing against a timer, but King of Route 66 is because you're racing against an opponent. And I love the lift bridges in downtown Chicago, and I do wish I could just jump an 18-wheeler across them, but when you do, you get these absolutely insane camera cutaways to show you just how wild everything is. This is just Sega playing around. It's so much fun. It's that classic Dreamcast NAOMI era Sega where they just wanted to make things big giant spectacles, make them colorful, make them exciting, and make them completely unrealistic to real life. And they've 100% captured that here with King of Route 66. It's just putting a smile on your face every single time you are playing, and you get that nitro barrel, hit a nitro and jump right into the depot with your rig. There's nothing better than that sense of satisfaction. But on the technical side, Sega did an extremely good job on the physics engine as well, because of course an 18-wheeler is not a race car. This is not going to control like you're playing Outrun 2 or Daytona 2 or Scud Race. There is weight and momentum to the vehicle, and you get a lot of body roll and sway just based upon how long your vehicle is and how heavy it is, which would be accurate to real life outside of the fact that most people do not jump 18-wheelers. You will see on occasion you get an option. You can either use your windshield wipers or your horn to take on a convoy or not. When you get a convoy, you go into a third-person view, and you do get a slight speed up, but you need to make sure you keep your convoy member with you. And it's like that famous song, "We got a great big convoy rocking through the night." We need to keep it going. If you've never heard that song before, it's hilarious. You should look it up after you watch the video. But we have beaten our opponent to the depot again, and we get extra bonuses. So every single round has two mechanics. Get to the end before the timer runs out and beat your opponent to make sure you get that bonus. And you do get to select different cargo to haul, some easier, some harder. And I couldn't resist pulling that Sega sign along with me. But just blowing through that wall, going through that turnstile for tolls there, and getting out on the open road is hilarious. And this game does have a lot of very small touches as well. Those notebooks and magazines on the dashboard move back and forth based upon your momentum, and in some areas you will get rain, and you do need to use the windshield wipers to make sure your vision is not obscured. They're really tiny small touches, but they make the universe feel alive and just feel oh so much fun. And I love when you get real close to the time and you're just blowing through this area here, slamming into things. If you just get that turbo at the right possible second, you can get in by the skin of your teeth with absolutely no time left. It is a very frantic, very fun game that interestingly has a lot of story for an arcade game as well. I will let you listen to one of the cutscenes later on towards the end of the video, but there are antagonists in this game, and this poor old man here just keeps getting beat by them every single time he encounters them, and your goal is to beat them to the depot to get revenge. Not sure how beating them with a truck rig makes any difference to make that old man feel better about just taking 5 across the eyes, but it's how it works. I will say the soundtrack is decent. It's not the best thing for a Sega arcade racing game, but now that we're moving on to Area 2, go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds and I will be right back.
Hurry up, there's no time left! Hurry up, there's no time left! Time's up!
Normally I say that Sega has some of the best soundtracks in arcade games whatsoever, but I would say in King of Root 66 it's pretty much just a B- effort. I do not love it. It is a tiny bit scratchy there though, and that's because I'm emulating the NAOMI 2. I do have a NAOMI 2 board in my closet, but I don't have a cartridge for King of Root 66, mostly because it's a mess of wires to actually get set up, but one day I will probably do that. But back to the gameplay, I just can't tell you how much fun this game genuinely is, and it's all down to the sense of speed and momentum. Now, I've never driven an 18-wheeler. The largest vehicle I've ever driven was a 22-foot Penske moving truck halfway across the country. It's almost as big as an 18-wheeler, and I will tell you, doing that, the momentum and sway of those vehicles is absolutely ridiculous, and you get that as much as you can in an arcade racing game from Sega. It really does feel like you are pulling an 18-wheeler with the momentum. Now granted, we just went like a whole state in about 90 seconds, and that is highly unrealistic, but that really doesn't matter. And graphically, NAOMI 2 just looks so good, and I love that because we are going across some of the Midwest country here, we get these twisters in the distance, and if you get hit by one, you're not going to have a good time. But if you want to jump over a rock quarry, hit a nitro barrel, and try to nitro through those before they hit you, it's gonna work. And every time you get through that little area, it just feels great. The timer is fair as well on this game. Now on 18-wheeler, I feel like I kind of beat the level with like a second to spare, but in King of Root 66, you actually have like 5 or 6 seconds left if you're playing well, and you do get these little mini games in between rounds. You have to back your trailer up and stop right in that OK, and if you do, you get a restock of nitro. If you don't, you have to start the level with no nitro. And let me tell you, some levels are impossible to beat if you do not have the nitro barrels. It just seems like no matter how clean of a line you drive and how fast you go, you're not going to be able to get there on time. So it does feel like every once in a while there's a force to lose situation, because if you do put more credits in, you get a full restock of nitro barrels as well. But you do want to conserve them for the right moments. Use a nitro barrel at the wrong time and you're going to go right into a wall. Use it at the right time, like right here, and you're going to have a full run out of highway to be able to get to where you're going. And you'll see we have about 16 seconds left, but we can already see that bounding box for our destination in the distance. And even though we hit a car here, we get it one more barrel along the way. We pop that and we're going to be able to fly in with about 3 seconds to spare. But I told you I'd let you listen to and watch a cutscene. They are absolutely hilarious, so go ahead and watch it, enjoy the humor, and I'll be back in 25 seconds to close out the video. But enjoy!
That's okay, old man.
This ain't no joke! You gonna pay for this here?
Calling all trucks. Somebody's gotta stop those tornadoes now!
I love the cutscenes, and it's way more story for an arcade game than you would normally expect, and story in arcade games is like story in adult films. People put it there all the time, but it's not the reason you're enjoying the entertainment. But all jokes aside, this game does exist for the PlayStation 2, but I would just ignore it completely. It's just not a very fun version. The NAOMI 2 version plays better, looks better, and sounds better. And had Sega actually released a Dreamcast 2 based on that NAOMI 2 spec, it would have 100% mopped the floor with the PlayStation 2, in my opinion. But that's an alternate reality that we just do not get to enjoy. What we do get to enjoy, though, is a few more levels of King of Root 66, because we're getting close to the West Coast right now, and I love all of the day to night changes. We're going into sunrise right now, leaving this little biker mountain town out in the desert, and going off into the sunset. But first we have to deal with all of these switchback roads. But the point of this video is that King of Root 66 is just a ton of fun. It is classic Sega racing from point A to point B, but you are racing against an opponent and it does qualify for this series. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, do you want to see a few bonus episodes of games that don't include racing against opponents? Something like Emergency Call Ambulance wouldn't qualify as a racing game in my opinion, because you're just trying to get to a checkpoint before the timer runs out. You have no rival like Outrun 2 or King of Root 66. You kind of just have to play it for that sort of timed experience. But we got a convoy here and it's rocking into the night, and we are trying to get to the end of this level, and let's see how it goes. And that's what I love about this game. I don't even need to cut away because everything is so action-packed. You're always having a ton of fun. You run out here into this little mobile home park, you get one more nitro, and we can burn that off trying to see the finish line. Just be careful because sometimes you do just absolutely blow into a car and blow things up. There's a money thing, there's a high score, but honestly, is that not really the reason you're playing it? You're just playing it for the spectacle. But we're going to jump this 18-wheeler off of this crane and into the finish line for King of Route 66. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I love making it. It's one of my favorite Sega racing games of all time. Try that out, another Sega video next week, and I'll have videos throughout the week as well. But yeah, if you never played this game, definitely do it. See you next time. Bye-bye.